something snapped inside Cleveland's locker room Sunday night, and according to multiple insiders, it might have changed the Browns forever. Moments after another humiliating loss to the Steelers, reports say fifth-round rookie Shedeur Sanders confronted starting quarterback Dillon Gabriel in front of the entire team. What started as post-game frustration turned into an explosive leadership showdown that left veterans speechless and coaches scrambling for control. Sources say the scene felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. Silence, tension, disbelief. Gabriel, after tossing 3 costly interceptions, tried rallying the offense with the usual cliches about trusting the process and learning from mistakes. But Shedeur wasn't having it. Calm, controlled, and deadly serious, he looked Gabriel straight in the eye and said, "Bro, the process is broken. You can't lead a team when you can't even lead yourself." Instantly, the entire locker room froze. No yelling, no chaos, just the quiet power of a rookie who'd had enough. One veteran told reporters later, "That wasn't disrespect, that was truth." Another said, "We've all felt it. He just finally said it." By the time the team left the stadium, whispers had already become headlines. Players were texting family, agents were calling reporters, and social media was melting down. #StartShedeur trended within an hour. Fueled by fans comparing stats, Gabriel's 9 turnovers in 4 games versus Sanders' flawless preseason. This wasn't just frustration, it was a power shift. A rookie had just challenged a starter, exposed a failing system, and, whether he meant to or not, taken control of the locker room. And if the reports are true, this was more than a quarterback controversy. It was the night Shedeur Sanders became the new leader of the Cleveland Browns. To understand how things reached this breaking point, you have to look at how ugly Sunday night got for Cleveland. Under the bright lights of Heinz Field, everything that could go wrong did. Dillon Gabriel looked lost. The offensive line was in shambles. Receivers were out of sync. By halftime, the Browns had turned the ball over 3 times, giving Pittsburgh every opportunity to bury them. The body language told the story. Stefanisky stood stone-faced on the sideline. Gabriel hung his head after every drive. And Shedeur Sanders, helmet on, eyes locked forward, never said a word. Teammates later said they could feel it coming. The frustration had been building for weeks, but that night, it finally exploded. When the game ended, the scoreboard read defeat, but inside that locker room, something much bigger was breaking. Not the game plan, not the season, but the very foundation of leadership in Cleveland. Inside the visiting locker room, the atmosphere was suffocating. Helmets clattered onto the floor. Players sat in silence, and you could almost feel the tension hanging in the air. Dillon Gabriel, trying to salvage his pride, stood before the team, repeating the same tired phrases. "We just need to stay together. Trust the process." But that's when everything changed. Shedeur Sanders, calm, composed, and ice-cold, stepped forward. No yelling, no emotion, just focus. "Bro," he said quietly, locking eyes with Gabriel, "the process is broken. You can't lead a team when you can't even lead yourself." The room fell dead silent. Even the veterans looked stunned. According to sources, nobody had ever seen that kind of presence from a rookie before. He didn't need volume to command the room, just confidence. One lineman reportedly whispered, "That wasn't disrespect, that was leadership." In that single moment, the entire dynamic of Cleveland's locker room flicked. Gabriel's authority shattered, Shedeur's influence began, and every player in that room knew the real leader had just spoken. What happened next spread faster than wildfire. Within minutes of leaving the locker room, players were already texting friends, family, and agents about what they'd just witnessed. By the time the team bus pulled out of Heinz Field, the story had leaked, and the internet was on fire. Hashtag #StartShedeur started trending across X, Instagram, and TikTok. Fans were posting stat comparisons. Shedeur's perfect preseason passer rating versus Gabriel's 9 turnovers in 4 games. One viral post read, "This isn't a QB battle anymore. It's a cover-up." Another said, "Shedeur could have won that game in his sleep." Even Browns players began dropping hints. One veteran lineman posted a photo of Shedeur lacing his cleats with the caption, "Leaders lead differently." Another defensive starter liked tweets criticizing Gabriel's play before quickly unliking them. Too late. Screenshots spread everywhere. By midnight, every sports page was talking about it. What started as a quiet confrontation had become a full-blown quarterback rebellion, and the Browns had officially lost control of their own locker room. By sunrise, the story had reached the one person the entire organization feared upsetting: Jimmy Haslam, the Browns owner, known for his impatience and bold moves, reportedly called an emergency late-night meeting with head coach Kevin Stefanisky and GM Andrew Berry. According to multiple insiders, Haslam was furious. He demanded answers. Why was the rookie he personally pushed to draft still on the bench while the team imploded week after week? Why was Gabriel, with 9 turnovers and no command of the offense, still the starter? Stefanisky tried his usual calm coach speak about trusting the process. But this time, Haslam wasn't buying it. One source described him boiling. This wasn't about one bad game anymore. It was about leadership, accountability, and the future of the franchise. Haslam reportedly told Stefanisky bluntly, "This is my team. Fix it, or I will." And with that, the Browns' internal crisis went from private tension to organizational chaos. The quarterback drama had officially reached the owner's desk, and now someone's job was on the line. The more fans looked at the stats, the worse things got for Dillon Gabriel. Through 4 games, he'd racked up 9 turnovers, a 54% completion rate, and led an offense averaging barely 12 points per game. That's not just bad, that's historically disastrous. Every snap seemed to erode what little confidence the locker room had left in him. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders looked like the complete opposite. In preseason action, he posted a perfect passer rating, threw 0 interceptions, and moved the ball effortlessly. Against starting defenses, teammates said he brought calm under chaos, reading defenses, calling audibles, and showing command rare for a rookie. When those comparisons hit social media, the narrative flipped instantly. Fans weren't asking if Shedeur should play. They were demanding why he wasn't already starting. Even players began to notice the difference in energy. Gabriel was hesitant, second-guessing every throw. Shedeur, confident, steady, ready. And when a locker room sees that kind of contrast up close, it doesn't take long before loyalty starts to shift. What happened that night wasn't just a confrontation. It was a transfer of power. Inside the Browns locker room, everyone felt it. Shedeur Sanders didn't raise his voice, didn't throw a tantrum, and didn't try to humiliate anyone. He simply took control. That calm confidence, the kind that demands respect without asking for it, changed everything. Veterans later said they'd never seen a rookie command the room like that. Some quietly pulled Shedeur aside afterward, shaking his hand, telling him, "You said what we couldn't." Others stayed silent, but their eyes said it all. The locker room had a new alpha. From that moment, the energy in Cleveland shifted. Gabriel was still the official starter, but everyone knew who the real leader was. Teammates began rallying around Shedeur, the rookie who had the guts to say what the entire team had been thinking. This wasn't rebellion, it was revelation. And for the first time in years, the Browns locker room felt something it hadn't felt in a long time: hope. For head coach Kevin Stefanisky, the situation had become a no-win scenario. On one side, he had Dillon Gabriel, the struggling starter he'd publicly defended week after week. On the other, Shedeur Sanders, the rookie his owner adored and his players were beginning to follow. Every decision he made now felt like a landmine. Privately, sources say Stefanisky knew Gabriel's confidence was gone. His reads were slow, his leadership fading, and the locker room, once firmly behind him, was slipping away. But Stefanisky also knew that benching Gabriel would be an admission of failure, not just for the player, but for the entire coaching staff that chose him. So he doubled down. He told reporters the team would stay the course and trust the process. But inside the building, players rolled their eyes. They'd heard that line too many times before. Every practice rep, every team meeting, every press conference, the tension grew. Stefanisky wasn't just fighting to keep his starter. He was fighting to keep his team. For Shedeur Sanders, that night wasn't about ego. It was about standard. The son of Dillon Sanders, he's been raised around pressure, expectations, and cameras his entire life. He knows what leadership looks like, and more importantly, he knows when it's missing. That's why his confrontation with Gabriel didn't come from frustration. It came from conviction. Teammates said they saw something different in Shedeur that night. Composure, focus, and a quiet authority that demanded respect. He didn't just want the job. He wanted accountability. He wasn't playing for headlines. He was playing for legacy. Even veterans who'd seen it all couldn't ignore it. One told reporters he didn't talk like a rookie, he talked like a quarterback. That moment turned the narrative. Shedeur was no longer the backup. He was the future, and everyone knew it. His leadership wasn't about words or titles. It was about presence. And from that night forward, one truth became undeniable. The Browns didn't just have a rookie quarterback. They had their next franchise leader. What happened inside that locker room didn't just shake Cleveland, it sent ripples through the entire NFL. This wasn't a simple quarterback controversy anymore. It was a reckoning. For years, the Browns have been trapped in a cycle of failed leadership, broken promises, and quarterback after quarterback who couldn't carry the weight. But Shedeur's stand exposed more than just a struggling offense. It revealed an organization fighting itself from the inside out. Ownership wants results. The locker room wants direction. The fans want redemption. And now everyone's eyes are on one rookie who didn't wait for permission to lead. Coaches can preach patience all they want, but the truth is simple. The team has already chosen its next voice. Whether Kevin Stefanisky likes it or not, Shedeur Sanders has become the heartbeat of Cleveland. This is more than a power shift. It's the moment the Browns finally face their reflection and realize the future they've been waiting for is already standing in front of them. And just like that, the Browns' entire season, maybe even their future, changed in one night. A single moment of honesty in a silent locker room turned into a full-blown movement. Think about it. A rookie quarterback, barely a month into his NFL career, looks his starter in the eye and tells him what everyone else was too afraid to say. That's not arrogance. That's leadership. Shedeur Sanders didn't need a press conference or a coach's blessing. He earned his respect the hard way, by holding people accountable when the stakes were highest. And that's what makes this story so powerful. Because it's not just about who throws the ball better. It's about who believes harder, who stands taller when everything's collapsing around them. Meanwhile, Kevin Stefanisky's future hangs by a thread. The owners, furious. The locker room, shifting. The fans, they've already chosen their side. And for the first time in a long time, Cleveland's hope doesn't come from a headline or a draft pick or a new scheme. It comes from a young quarterback who refused to stay silent. So what happens next? Does Stefanisky finally make the switch and start the rookie everyone's rallying behind? Or does he cling to a system that's clearly breaking apart? One thing's certain, every snap, every press conference, every whisper inside that building will matter now. Because when a locker room crowns its leader, there's no going back. Shedeur Sanders didn't wait for permission to lead. He just did it. And that moment might have saved the Browns from themselves. But what do you think? Was Shedeur out of line for calling out his teammate? Or did he do what a real leader's supposed to do? Should the Browns start him now or protect him until the team's ready? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you love stories like this, raw, real, and dramatic, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for daily NFL updates. Because if you think this locker room explosion was wild, just wait until you see what happens next week in Cleveland.